Okay, hi everyone, I'm Tanya. Thanks for coming. So I'm going to talk about pushing left like a boss, which is a very silly joke. And this talk is a talk that I wrote when I switched from being a software developer into being a security person. Because I started doing application security, and it took me forever to figure out what all of these things were, exactly how they worked, how to explain them to developers, how to explain it to myself. And so I put this talk together figuring just my OWASP chapter would like it, but now I've done it almost 50 times. So it appears that like a lot of people are interested, and that's awesome. And so this is the talk that I wish someone had given me 4 years ago or more when I started in security. So first of all, what the heck is pushing left, right? Or sometimes called shifting left. So if we look at the system development lifecycle, the further left you get, like my cheesy animations, oh yeah. The further left you are, the earlier you are. So often security is involved here, testing, right? Or if you're very unlucky, the first time security is involved is here, in an incident. That's that little dog or the little raccoon that's on fire that I have the stickers of. That's me, here, when you call me and it's broken. But I would like it if the first time you talked to security was here. Also here, also there, and there. Well, no, never here. I would love it if everything was perfect from then on. But so this talk is about how can we start security earlier and do it the whole way through instead of just tacking it on at the end like I see a lot of places do. If some of the examples I give aren't applicable in Israel, I apologize, because this is the first time I was here. So next time I'll have it all updated for you. Okay, so everyone does this about me thing, and I didn't used to understand why anyone did it. And the reason is because we're going to try to impress you, so you will think we're qualified to give the talk. So please allow me 30 seconds to attempt to impress you. So this is me. Sometimes that's me. I'm Tanya Janca, and on the internet, people call me She Hacks Purple. And I work at this little startup, you might have heard of us, called Microsoft. And I am a senior cloud developer. So it means that I get feedback from the community so we can change our products so that they actually work how you need them to. And then I do security research and I share it with the community. And basically my job is like all the stuff I was already doing for free, except I get free licenses now, so it's really cool. So I'm an application security evangelist, but not like this guy, more like this guy. Yeah. I'm an ethical hacker because I like breaking shit. I'm totally obsessed with OWASP. Sometimes I go in places and they'll say, OWASP girl, and I'm like, woman, OWASP woman. So you probably all have heard of us since you're here, but we're a lot of giant nerds who really want to help everyone make more secure software. Sorry to the camera person, I move a lot and I can't talk unless my arms are moving. So I call us the Care Bears of Yeah! I call us the Care Bears of security because we're really nice, I like to think. So I'm so obsessed that I help run the chapter in Ottawa. I'm one of the leaders there. And I also started an open source project with my friend Nicole, and now we have all sorts of awesome humans helping us. I've been coding for a really long time, and I guess I'm older than I appear. And so this picture was taken in Halifax, and I presented this last time in Halifax. I didn't have a picture of me in Israel yet, but this is the big blue tongue in Halifax, and that's me being inappropriate. So my goal for my career right now is to try to make the easiest way to do whatever it is you want to do with technology the secure way. I think right now we have to work really hard to add security to things or jump through a million hoops. And I feel especially for developers, making a secure app is wicked difficult right now, and I don't like that. As someone who was a developer for almost 17 years, I don't want it to be really hard to add security. I want it to be easier to do security. So, okay, so now that we've done enough about me for a lot of time, so the first couple slides, I know that a lot of you probably know a lot about cyber because this is the cyber capital of the entire world. But like literally like where we are right like Israel. I don't know if you know, but the rest of the world's like, yeah, you guys are good at this. And so some of this is going to be a review for you, but I don't know how much each person here knows. So I'm going to just say a few things. If you already know them, please be patient. It'll be over soon, and then we'll go on to new stuff, which I hope you think is cool. So everyone's getting hacked. We see this everywhere. It's not good, right? We're having lots of breaches. But did you know between like 29 and 40% of all the breaches are caused by insecure software? And if you looked at your security team's budget, you better believe it, 29 to 40% is not going to securing the software. I feel that some security teams are only, I say the wrong way on the slide, but I mean like looking only one way. Like they're all over enterprise security. They're all over the perimeter. They're doing an awesome, awesome job. But then they're like, I hope the developers will just handle that security thing for us, application security. Like a lot of teams that, like, because I've done some consulting, when I get called in, they're just like, whoa, hands off code. And that doesn't help us make secure apps. Absolutely. You get candy. Comments get bribery, it works. So this was my old definition of application security. It's the art of making software secure, but instead I have a new one which I am going to put a slide in for. Every activity you do to try to make your software secure is part of AppSec. So if you do threat modeling while you're doing your design phase, that's application security. If there's this old function that you know is insecure, that you know is in some of your apps, and you just grep through all your source code looking for it and removing it, that is you doing AppSec. Whatever you do to try to make your software secure is part of AppSec. Okay, so my previous job before this, which was 10 weeks ago, I was a penetration tester, and I would get called in right before they went to prod, which is obviously, in my opinion, the wrong time to call me. And that was really annoying. Like, it made me look really cool, because I would come in and be like shooting fish in a barrel, because no one's looked at security before. I'm like, I look like I'm really good at this when I'm really only okay. But it's awful for developers, because they get this big report, and they feel crappy, and it's last minute, and they have to stay up late trying to fix all of this. And it's crappy for the people paying me, because there's no time for them to fix all those things. And it's not good for the end consumer, right? Because they're going to get an app that has like one critical thing fixed, and everything else is in the next release. It's not. And so I think this is not great. And I also know that specifically where I'm from, we just don't have enough people to do all the pen tests for all the contracts. So sometimes when I say no, I know that means they will do nothing at all. And they will release it with no one ever having looked at the security at all. I hope it's okay. It's not good. Okay, so who's seen this before? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. But really, are people's hands tired at the back? But for real, have you not heard of it? So when I do this for developers, like 4 hands go up. I'm like, this is why all of us security people hassle you. We care that your apps keep the data confidential that's supposed to be confidential. We care that the integrity of your data, like so that no one's changed it, right? Imagine you were having some sort of health test done, and then someone changed your results. That could be catastrophic, right? And availability, resilience. If someone knocks down your app 5 times a day, it's not a good app, right? So those are the things that motivate the security team to receive paychecks. And when I tell developers this, and most of them haven't heard of it, it makes me think that the security team's really, really, really good at keeping secrets, even when sometimes we're supposed to be shouting things from the rooftops and training people and sharing information with people. I feel like maybe one of our weaker things in security is communication and teaching the rest of IT what we want from them. Okay, so I heard you have to tell people 3 times about a new concept in order for them to get it. So I'm going to explain shifting or pushing left. No, time number 2. But instead of like reading the slide to you, because that's boring, and also like I make much prettier slides now. This is really ugly now that I'm maturing. And also I've had people tell me it's ugly. Imagine you're building a house with your spouse, and you've been saving for like years, and you've bought this property, and you've paid this company, and they're doing all the things. And it's been like a year they've been building this house, and in 2 weeks it's supposed to be ready. And they're, you know, like they're doing the final touches of whatever it is you do when you build a house. And your spouse comes up to you and they're like, you know what, honey? We have 7 kids. Maybe we should have had more than 1 bathroom. Ooh, that's a serious flaw, right? 9 people, 1 bathroom. It's going to be all out war, really. It's not going to go well. When you add another bathroom, where is it going to go? How much is it going to cost? Your house is going to be really late, right? This is the same thing with security bugs. If I find a huge design flaw in the business like logic of your application right before you go to prod, how are you going to fix that? You're going to tear it all apart and start again? Right? This is why I feel we need to look at security earlier. If you thought about that when you're designing it, you're like, 9 bladders, that means at least 3 bathrooms. Then that problem wouldn't have happened. It's the same with security flaws or bugs. So a flaw is like a design problem. A bug is an implementation, like coding problem, but both of them really suck. Okay, so now let's talk about pushing left like a boss, what the talk's supposed to actually be about. So how do you push left like a boss? In my opinion, you launch an application security program. You formalize AppSec activities as part of your system development lifecycle. So if you're doing a great big slow waterfall, you can add security. If you're doing agile circles, you can add security. And if you're doing DevOps, it's awesome. I would love it. I'd love to be part of adding some security there. So let's look at some things. So please ignore the bacon. It's not there. So I'm going to explain some of the security things, like an application security program, like this is going to be the main course. So these are the main things I feel like if you're in a big enterprise that you should try to have. And then we're going to talk about adding gravy, so it's better, so that's more stuff. And then extra special stuff like dessert that you just have once in a while. I mean, maybe you have dessert all the time, depends on how lucky you are. But so these are the main things, I feel. Vulnerability scans and vulnerability assessments. And despite what management tells you, those are not the same thing. A vulnerability scanner is usually used on a web app, and you point it at your web app, and you've asked permission from your security team so they don't come running to your desk screaming. And then it does a lot of things to your app, and then at the end it's like, I think there's some problems here, here, and here. It will have some false positives, it will find a bunch of low-hanging fruit, and then you can go fix it. I feel like this is the easiest, fastest bang for your buck if you've done no other security. It's a nice first step. But a vulnerability assessment, which is way better, is where you use a bunch of tools. You have a person who knows security stuff, and they look at all the places security is supposed to be, and then it punches them in the face. I mean, then it tests them thoroughly. You can use a whole bunch of tools when you do a vulnerability assessment. It's going to take a while, but it's kind of awesome because you find out where all your vulnerabilities are, hopefully, or almost all of them. Each tester is different where they look, right? But if you find 90%, or even 80%, that means that you're way better than all the other web apps around you, and hopefully someone else will hack them instead. The next thing is threat modeling. And I like to look at that as like a brainstorming session between the security team, the business, the developers, and maybe even ops, depending upon what your ops team is like. If you have a DevOps team, have one of them. And the idea is to think about like what keeps the business up at night. What are they worried about happening? If you were a developer, how would you break this app? How would you try to break into your own app? And you have this discussion, and then you go check and make sure you can't actually do those things. You look at your design, you make sure it's okay. You usually do this during your design phase. Like I'm like, oh really? Should we really have that admin module that's like over there that isn't encrypted, or you know what I mean? Like you look at the things, and because you have so many brains looking at it and you're thinking like an attacker, you can find a lot of flaws really early. The next thing here is secure code reviews or static code analysis. Static code analysis is where you take the code of your app, so it's not running, it's not dynamic, it's the actual like words, I guess, and it looks through it, and it parses your application into pieces, and it looks for all the places where there could potentially be a security problem. And it tells you, you know, if you have 20,000 lines of code, I think I found 200 things. And then you go and look, only 20 of them are a real thing, but that's still awesome because you only had to read 200 lines instead of 2,000 lines. So I consider this a plus. People are like, oh, there's so many false positives. I'm like, but you didn't have to read 2,000 lines of code anymore. You only had to read 200. Isn't this great? And code reviews, secure code reviews are awesome because you don't have to read all the code. You just read the parts that have to do with security. So you look wherever there's supposed to be a security control. Oh, there's a login screen. There should probably be some security there. Let's check that it was done right. Oh, someone's taking input from the user. That's probably bad. Let's go take a look at it and make sure they're protecting against like bad users. So the last one on here is penetration testing. And a lot of people argue with me about this. In the city that I live in, they will call a VA a pen test. A pen test is more about exploiting the problems that you find, maybe getting trophies. It's about finding vulnerabilities and then actually breaking in and doing the things, right? So, oh, it looks like you have SQL injection. That would be a VA result, like, let me help you fix it. Well, a pen test will be like, you have some, and like, here's your passwords. And I've never, like, I have pen testing on my resume, but really, I just do a VA. Like, I describe what a VA is, and they're like, yes, that's what we want. And then I almost never write exploits unless someone's being really needs to listen to me more than they want to. Like, if you have a manager or someone up high where they're like, oh, we don't have security, like, we don't have time to fix that thing. And then sometimes I'll make a proof of concept to show them why I'm so scared and why we really need to fix it. But you don't make friends that way. I just thought I'd mention that. All of these things, you can, so if you make your own code, I feel you should do all these things. But if you do COTS products, customizable off-the-shelf products, you should do these things with them too if you can. You probably can't read the code, but you can certainly scan it. You can certainly threat model like the business logic you've put into it. As an example, so I did a pen test. I did a VA on a SharePoint instance. Like, I've done a bunch, but one of them, they just implemented it totally wrong. It's like they didn't read the hardening guide and they just winged it. And I was able to do like all sorts of crap that I wasn't supposed to do. And so I got them to do the hardening guide, I got them to do all these things, and then it was secure, right? But just because you buy it from a known vendor that's good doesn't mean that the way it was implemented was good. So I suggest that if you have a big thing, like in Canada we have something called GC Docs, like to manage all your documents. I suggest definitely testing it if there's risk, right? If it goes down and no one can use it for like 2 weeks, you can't write any documents, that would, for most businesses, be a really big problem. Okay, this slide was very long, sorry. Who knows what this is? This is the Canadian national dish. It's called poutine. These are French fries, these are cheese curds, and then we pour gravy on top to melt the cheese curds in so that you can have 3,000 calories in only one sitting. This is why we are so curvy in my country. This is seriously our national dish. So if you add gravy to things, I like to think that it's better. And so let's talk about extra things you could do for your AppSec program. Okay, so my favorite thing is educating developers. I think that developers are not taught application security in school. I think that's totally ridiculous that we pay a fortune to get a degree or diploma and they're not. Could you imagine if they sent electricians to trade school and then they're like, yeah, when you switch a light switch, you just take the two wires, you twist them together, then you just put them in the wall. Don't bother wrapping like electrical tape. Don't put the plastic over top. Just, no, we'll let you learn security out in the field. And then we'd have houses burning down all the time, right? But yet you go to university and they don't teach you. So, pardon? Yeah, I don't want either of those things, right? I want safety for us and for everyone that uses our apps. I feel like there's something going on that I don't know about in the audience. No? No? Okay. So we can give workshops. We can do secure coding lessons. We can have lunch and learns. We can have talks. There's lots and lots of things that you can do to educate your developers. If you ask them to take security courses like on their own, and you don't prompt them, you don't offer anything, it's not going to work that well. Oh, that's what I'm hearing. Hey guys, I can hear you up here. No, I hear you're talking, I mean, and it's interrupting me, it's confusing. Sorry. Can you go in the hallway? Thank you. Sorry, I just kept hearing things and I thought it was you. I'm like, none of their mouths are moving. How's that work? Okay, so dessert. Dessert is super awesome. You don't have it all the time, just special occasions. Who here has heard of a bug bounty program? Yeah? You were running one? Okay. You get the bag. Thank you. I think bug bounties are totally amazing. I think it's a great way to get lots and lots and lots of amazing security researchers to look at your application in a way that you could never afford if you did it yourself. Like if you tried to hire 30,000 hackers, first of all, I can't imagine trying to do that, but having that many people look at your app would be really difficult. I feel it's an advanced activity though. I don't feel like it's a thing you should do unless you're sure that you've done all the other things first. Right? Because I think it'll be really expensive. I don't want to pay for every cross-site scripting thing in my app. I'd rather just use like a scanner on it, find all those, fix those, and then pay for really cool bugs. The next thing is capture the flag contest. Has anyone done a capture the flag contest before? Yes. Everywhere I work, I'm always like, can we run a capture the flag contest? I think it'd be a really great way to teach our developers more about security. Because the first time a developer figures out how to get past a login screen or get onto a web server or go behind the validation in their JavaScript, they're not going to ever make that coding mistake again, right? Another good thing about Capture the Flag contests is if you're trying to recruit for your security team, if you run one of these, whoever wins, you should probably give them a job if they're not on your security team. Like if you're looking for a junior person for your team, that's a great way to find them. We run one of these in my OWASP chapter once a year, sometimes twice a year, and it's literally the most fun event ever. I highly recommend. The last thing is red team exercises. Who here is blue team? Who here is defender? Are you a defender? If you write code, you're probably a defender, unless you're writing it to attack. If you patch servers, you're a defender. Who here is red team? Who attacks? Sometimes I attack. I can't make up my mind, so I'm purple. Yeah, nice. That's where the purple team thing comes from. It's people that do defense and attacks. Why would you do a red team exercise? I like that. He said to find out how everything fits together and where it all falls apart. I like to do them so that I know what the real threats are that we face. Right? Like I want to know what the real risks are, because if you do theoretical hacking, whiteboard hacking, which is sometimes what people call threat modeling, it's cool, like, okay, so this is a likely problem, but when you invite a bunch of red teamers in and they're creative at you, sometimes they come up with something new you haven't thought of, sometimes they get into things very quickly and you know you're not as bulletproof as you thought, and sometimes, if you're really lucky, they can't get anywhere, and then you're like, yes. But usually I find they just get in. Never happened. I would much rather the person I paid, who's going to tell me how they got in, gets in, than the person that doesn't tell me. I'm hoping after all this, all of you are like, application security sounds fantastic. I should do a lot more of that. Who's with me? Who's like, application security sounds pretty good? I'm on an OWASP chapter, so I feel like all of you mean it. How many people here are coders? Do we do this? How many people here do operations? Okay, how many people here are security people? Nice. Okay, all of you, I have stuff for you. And if you're a project manager, I have stuff for you too, because I need you to put this in your project schedule. Because it's not fair if we ask developers and security people to do these things and we give them absolutely no time to do them. Okay, so you can test your own code. That's what these two dudes are doing, I've decided, in this picture. So if you have web apps, so most of what we're making now, a lot of what we're making is web apps right now. I know we're doing IoT, but you can also proxy that usually. If you are running a web app or a mobile app, or I think with most IoT things you can do this. You can proxy, you can get in the middle with a web app scanner, and you can look at things as they go back and forth. And a lot of them, you can press a little button, and then it will attack it for you, which is really cool. If you're a coder or you're a security person, you're definitely smart enough to do this. It's really easy. I have a video on the internet, which I'll put a bunch of links at the end for how you can actually start doing this with instructions of all free courses. Here are more details. So the way a proxy works is it sits between your browser and whatever the thing is that you're testing, and every action you do goes through it. And it is taking notes and stalking you so that it can do scripts to attack you. First, it will fuzz you, meaning throw garbage at you. Will it accept a single quote? Will it accept a star? What will it accept? It makes a list of what it will accept, and it's like, great, I'm going to try all these different attacks on you. I'm going to put 0 characters, 1 character, tons of characters, everything it can think of to try to break your app and see how your app acts. At the end, it will create a report for you, unless it's really crappy. There's like one open source one that doesn't create a report. I'm like, useless. And good ones, like OWASP Z Attack Proxy, which I have some stickers for, and Burp Suite, a whole bunch of them, they'll tell you how to fix the problem. But OWASP Zap is the best because it links to the OWASP wiki, which is ugly, I'm sorry. But it has like the best information possible about how to fix anything. It's really great. So there's paid ones, there's free ones, there's all sorts of things, but caution. You need to have permission to run you need to have permission. Don't scan things you don't have permission to scan, because bad things will happen to you. The security team will come to your desk and be very displeased. You could break things. You could end up getting fired. If you do this against an application you do not have permission to test, for instance, like, I don't know, Walmart. Let's say you go and you're like, I'm gonna attack Walmart. Don't do that. Only attack apps that you have absolute permission in writing to do, and from someone who has the authority. So if the person that sits in the cubicle next to you is like, yeah, you can hack our website. If that person's junior to you, if that person's not someone that has the authority to say that, just don't do it. It's much better to hack something you know you're allowed hacking. Also, it hogs resources. It can make a mess of your data, so you want to prepare for this. But I have some links later, so if you're interested in trying this, I have like a course I made on the internet that's like 58 minutes long, if you want to try. Okay, threat modeling. So Avi gave a really cool talk about threat modeling, and you went big overview on all the types, and then boom, what you should do. It was good. You guys missed it, sorry. Some of you did. We want to figure out, you know how you have use cases of what you should do? Well, threat modeling is negative use cases or abuse cases, what you should not do. And if you can find, if you have use cases, so a lot of places I've worked, they don't even have use cases. But if you have use cases, you can try to flip them on their head. So let's say I have an email money transfer thing. What's the threat? People want to steal the money. It's pretty obvious, right? So if I'm going to transfer $50 to Robert, because I'm really nice, what if I try to transfer him minus $50? What would happen? What if I try to send him $50, but Or comes and takes it, right? So you think about these things and then you look, do I think this is going to be a problem? I feel that when I talk to developers, if you were going to break into your app, how would you do it? That they give me totally, amazingly, completely different answers than when I talk to the business. Like, what are you afraid of happening to your app? And then I want to look for both. I also find that doing this with developers builds a better relationship with the security team, because I don't know if you know, but developers hate us. Yeah, a lot of developers like run and hide from us. I know, because I was a developer and I would run and hide from who I refer to as Dr. No. So I think this is a good way to build relationships between the two teams. Do you see this woman? Do you see how serene and zen and relaxed she looks? It's because someone reviewed her code. She knows it's good. Pardon? No, you can't see because this is it looks better there, but this is like her iPad or something like that. I don't know, some sort of tablet looking thing. You can't really tell from the picture. she's very happy her code passed the code review. So I think we should review code. I think if you review code, you will be a better coder. I worked somewhere once, and we had to have this like tiny, tiny software because it had to run in the Arctic. So you know how Canada's cold? The Arctic's way worse. And we have people that live there for some reason. It's good. We need people to like make sure it keeps frozen and stuff. I know, actually, we're very concerned about that, so more people are going up to check it out. But because of that, we had to write like this tiny app that had to run on 32 kilobit modems. That's small. So we did stat code analysis on it, and we found 22 memory leaks, and then we fixed all of them, and then our app worked really well. So stat code analysis and code review means you will write overall a better app, not just find security bugs. When you review code, if you find something in a peer's, like your friend, your colleague's code, you are unlikely to ever make that mistake again because you saw it with your eyes. Or if someone found something in your code, again, you'll learn this lesson, right? I think it's a good way to get better. Who here has heard of OWASP dependency check or OWASP dependency track? Approximately 70 to 80% of all code in applications now that you write are libraries or like other components or things that you call. You accept all of that risk when you put it and include it in your app. And so OWASP dependency check will check it for you and make sure that it'll tell you, oh, you know what, there's a CVE out for that. And it's like a 9, and that's very bad. So you shouldn't use that library anymore. Here's what you should use instead. I feel that we should be scanning all of our components, period. There's Snake, there's Black Duck, there's dependency track, there's a whole bunch of them, and you should use at least one. Okay, that's it on that slide. Sometimes people think that this slide's condescending. Just write better code. It's not condescending. You know the athlete that, like a professional athlete, the best one on the team? That person does not go home after practice, sit on their sofa, eat Cheetos, and watch TV. They practice more. They try more diets. They watch videos of what they did to see if they can get better. They work harder and harder to hone their craft and perfect their skills. And you can do that too. No matter what you do, you can be even better. And ways we can do that are you can train yourself on secure coding practices. And if you're on the security team, you can train yourself too. The second last slide, I think, I'm going to want you to all get your phones out and take a picture of it because I wrote a blog post and all it is links of free resources of where to start with all of this. And all of it is free. There's paid resources, free resources, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to add judgment on any of them. When you are coding, okay, so this was me when I was a software developer. Code, drink Coca-Cola, code some more, and then I'd be like, oh, I forget how to do something. I'm going to go look on Stack Exchange. And then that's what I do. And then you look it up, and then you find the thing at the top, which is the most insecure way to do anything. And then you'd pop it in your code. It compiles. Excellent. Code. Instead, what if you search for the most secure way to do whatever the thing is that you're going to do? It'll take you 2 minutes instead of 30 seconds, and your code level will go like this. And each time you look something up, you usually learn it, right? So then you've learned the secure way to do that thing. Awesome. Another thing you could do is you could become a security champion. A security champion is someone who's really interested in security but doesn't work on the security team. Talk to your security team. Tell them they're interested. Tell them you want to know more. Tell them you want to be involved. Ask if you can go along on an incident. If you're a security team, if there's a developer or an ops person that's interested in security, this is gold. You should show that person everything. Invite them to meetings sometimes or events or incidents or anything you can so that they can learn because they will bring that message back to their team, right? This person is your ally. You want to be friends. And with that, please meet your new best friend forever, OWASP. You should take advantage of this free resource. If you're going to look up how to do something, instead look up OWASP cheat sheet and then the thing you want to do. Like, oh, I'm having problems with SQL injection. OWASP cheat sheet injection. We have these things called cheat sheets about everything that you could hope to do with code samples and explanations of how to do them. Also, you could come to this meetup. and the AppSec conference that they run here in Israel. And you can also check out do you guys have a YouTube page? Okay, well, there's a general OWASP YouTube page, and tons of videos, probably like this one, are going to go up there. And so if, for instance, you're like, oh, I saw this talk tonight, Tanya, she was okay, I want my friend at work to see it, it'll be up there in a little while, right? There's this talks all over if you want it. But it's a great way for you to learn for free. And learning for free is awesome. And with that, here are links for getting started in application security. So if you want to take a photo of this slide, I feel this is a good slide because this is the blog post I did where it's just links that I have been, so forever, I've been sending links to people after this talk, and then I was just like, I'll just make a blog post instead of emailing them to people generally because that's silly. And then I think I have one more. So I have all sorts of blog posts now because like I just keep talking. And then I say stuff, and then people are like, maybe you should make a blog post. I'm like, ugh. I also have an open source project, and this is our proof of concept. It's really ugly right now, I know. Please don't email me and tell me. But it's going to get better and better. These slides are here. All my slides ever are here. I share everything, so that's how I am. And with that, okay, people seem we're good. Okay.